Who are you talking to? Hi.
Hey guys, it's my family and Harper's with us.
Y'all are in for a treat today. We have the whole family here, Lincoln and Kennedy, and you have cousin Harper here who loves to take care of Kennedy and Lincoln and treat them so good. Harper's so good to them and just takes care of them, and she's a really big help to Allie and I and helps us. So this is going to be episode 7 of our journey with MPS 1 Hurler Syndrome. Episodes 1 through 6 will be linked down below, as well as flipping up through cards through the whole thing. So it may get a little crazy with everybody here, but we'll see. Right now they're being good, so we'll see how it goes. So we left episode 6 off with we were home. We come home.
We had moved home from Cincinnati with Kennedy, so we left off in about September of 2016. We had just opened a mobile clothing trailer called K. Francis, and the idea was we were going to travel around and sell little kids' clothing and just help to raise awareness to eventually find a cure for MPS 1. And we thought that traveling would be the best way to reach more people. But on the day of my grand opening is when I told family that, surprise, we were pregnant. So we found out that we were pregnant, and it was exciting, but it was a little hard because we had just started feeling semi-normal. Kennedy had started preschool that August, so at this point she's 2 years old. She had just started preschool. We were doing all the normal things. We had gotten to go to the zoo and the children's museum and the beach, so just a lot of firsts for Kennedy, and I'm using my phone as a cheat sheet. And just feeling normal. She was starting to potty train, and so it was just getting to be easy just to pick up and go. And so all of the excitement and anxiousness that comes with being pregnant, plus of course we were worried because we knew the chance that we had to have another child affected with MPS 1. We had a 75% chance to have a healthy child, which left us with a 1 in 4 chance to have an affected child. One of our biggest questions is, did we know that Lincoln was going to have MPS 1? And we didn't. We did not test in utero. We could have, but we chose not to because it wouldn't have changed our outcome. Some people do it to be prepared, so that when the baby's born, they're just prepared for it. And then the other option would be to terminate. And termination was not an option for us, and to be prepared is something I am never. So all that it would have done for me is just cause, even more anxiety that I already have. I'm a very anxious person, and just the worry, 9 months of worry that I didn't want. We wanted just to continue to live happy like a family and do everything we could in those 9 months and just pray and believe that God was going to give us a healthy baby boy.
And we wanted to enjoy our time with Kennedy at that time because we had, like Allie said, we'd been through the hospital and been through everything. We were just starting to be normal. So we really wanted to enjoy our family time and not dwell on what might or might not be coming up.
Hi guys.
Hi guys. Hey guys. And also having the testing increased the chances of having a miscarriage as well. So we didn't want to take that opportunity and or take that chance, not that opportunity, and increase everything and just let God's will play out and His plan, and just live according to what His plan was. So excuse you, Lincoln.
So I did have a good pregnancy. I had a good pregnancy with both kids, sort of typical. I was sick and very tired for the first trimester, and once my second trimester hit, I felt really good. We sort of left the last video with trials and just that the devil is always knocking. When sort of the saying, when you're living good, the devil's knocking harder. So the more good things we felt like we were doing, the more the devil came knocking. So in February of 2017, right before I had Lincoln, the devil just tried us a little bit more. I had flown to Vegas for a clothing show, and I got a call from her name was Wilma, and she came when I was 6 months old, and so she was like the nanny that I had. She came when I was 6 months, and she left when I was 17. And so I got a call from her daughter-in-law, Angela, that it was time. It was time to say goodbye. And I remember getting off the airplane and just being so emotional. I just landed in Vegas, so I knew I couldn't get to her in time, and I was so worried. And I asked if I could talk to her, and I could talk to her. I talked to her on the phone, and she just kept saying that, she didn't know what I was telling her. She couldn't understand what I was telling her, and I just kept saying, you don't have to understand, just know that I love you. And so I think I was in Vegas for 3 days. As soon as I got back from Vegas, I landed in Knoxville, and my mom and my sister picked me up, and we went to South Carolina, and she had made it. And so we got to tell her goodbye. Her eyes were closed, but she heard everything we said, and when we left that night, she passed away. On my way, the night that I was spending the night in South Carolina to tell Wilma goodbye, I got a call from Ryan, who was here, Lincoln,
no.
who was here at home with Kennedy, and Ryan had got the call that they thought his dad was having a stroke, and turned out his dad did have a stroke.
Lincoln. Oh, no, buddy.
Ryan might can exaggerate a little bit more just with all the trauma, not only with Wilma, just the trauma of my life. I'm not good at remembering things, and Ryan's good at medical things anyways, but it was a very scary thing, and he's extremely lucky. And so it was just another one of those things that we felt, one more thing, how you feel, one more thing, that God was just pushing us.
So I was at work, and my brother called me while I was at work, and it was late at night. And usually Harper's dad, my brother, gets in bed pretty early, so it's about 11:30ish, I guess. And he called, and that was just weird, but just answering the phone like normal, and saying that hey, what are you calling me this late for? And then lo and behold, it was the news that my dad, they thought at the time, was having a stroke, and that he was being airlifted to Knoxville Hospital for further treatment, and so it did turn out he did have a stroke. So I left work and spent the night with him there in the hospital that night, and allowed my brother and my stepmom to go home, get showers, and take care of stuff that needed to be taken care of. Stayed the night in the hospital there with him, and they weren't unable to remove the clot, so there was going to be a lot of physical therapy and just a lot going on after that. But I am very happy to say that he is doing good, and he almost has all movement back and every extremity. What, buddy? You go. He's trying to do.
I'm trying to video it.
So in
sidetracked a little bit, yeah.
So in Cincinnati, we go to a park, and the kids, it's a big fake grass hill, and the kids slide down on a cardboard box down the grass hill. It makes them go faster. So right now, what you can't see is Lincoln going down a plastic slide on a piece of paper trying to do what they do in Cincinnati.
I'm videoing it, so we'll try to put the clip up.
So anyway, long story short, my dad is doing really good, and he still does have some deficiencies and stuff of that nature, but overall he's very lucky, very blessed to be still have him here on earth, and still be living, and still be able to be functioning, and not just a vegetable. So I'm very blessed to say that.
So we kept pushing forward. So many times we felt defeated, but we just knew that God was with us. I continued to have a good pregnancy, and so Lincoln was born on May 4th of 2017, and delivery was planned. I had a C-section with Kennedy because she would not pass my pelvis, and just given what I had been through prior, we just decided to go through with another C-section. Lincoln looked healthy to me. I looked for a lot of signs just to tell me that he was healthy, and so one of the things was Kennedy never did latch as breastfeeding, and so I pumped for Kennedy for over 2 years, and so it was my goal not to leave the hospital until Lincoln had a good latch. And once he was born, he latched perfectly, and he was eating like a machine, and so I just took that as a sign that everything was going to be okay, and that Lincoln was healthy, and that this was my cue that he was good. Later that afternoon, they came in and did Lincoln's newborn screening, and he failed. And immediately it set in worry and anxiety. But I sat and I told myself, I'm not going to let the devil steal my joy. I just had a brand new baby boy. And, this is just him testing us. And so we didn't let it steal our joy. And we tried not to think a lot about it. And so our next obstacle was to name him. So Lincoln didn't have a name. It was a big debate. Probably from the time I was pregnant.
You remember that, Harper? You remember
Yeah,
that?
we actually we drew in the hat. We actually it was between Parker or Lincoln, and actually Parker won, but we just went with Lincoln.
So the story on that is it started out when Lincoln was first born was Grady. Allie wanted the name Grady. She was dead set on the name Grady.
Even through the whole pregnancy. This started when I was first pregnant. We were using a decision-making app. Family was drawing out of a hat. Everybody was giving their opinions. So the whole pregnancy, it was a debate between Grady, Parker, and Lincoln. I did not like Lincoln, but...
Well, she was dead set on Grady, and her and her sister debated that, and her sister won that debate. So Grady was no longer on the table, really. So it was Lincoln and Parker.
But Grady came about that's what my mom was going to name me if I was born a boy. It was going to be Grady Allen, and I was a girl. So I just thought since I was younger, and once I heard that if I had a boy, that I would name him Grady. So yeah, Grady got marked off. So then it sort of got between Parker and Lincoln.
And I told Allie I'd been at work, and a guy had told me about the comparison chart between President Lincoln and President Kennedy. So if you've never seen that, go to Google, look it up. It's awesome.
And people ask us that all the time. Presidents' names. Did you name your kids after presidents?
And we're not political at all, so it was just names that we picked. But anyhow, so that's how Lincoln came about, and I told Allie that'd be an awesome story whenever they get older. Just, that look at this comparison chart and go from there. So long story short, it was Allie had a C-section. So
I'm going to stop you again. So I'm going to have Ryan put up that comparison chart because it's pretty neat to look at. And if you can't see it in our video, if you'll just Google the comparison between President Lincoln and President Kennedy, it's pretty neat. So his friend or his coworker had told him about that, and so Allie had a C-section, and so we had to stay in the hospital longer to make sure that she was okay and that Lincoln was okay. And so for like 3 days, I think it was 3 days, that it got to the point that they were calling, and then they showed up at the door and basically said we couldn't go home until we named the baby.
Yeah, and like Harper said, they had all come up, and we were drawing names out of a hat, whatever name came up, because me and Allie was like, we have no idea. So if he's going to be Lincoln, he's going to be Lincoln Richard Ladd, which Richard is my dad and my grandfather and my brothers. Richard's and all their names. Baby, you got the baby over there? Good job, buddy. And if he was going to be Parker,
go get it.
He's going to be Parker Ryan, named after me. So
go get it.
We didn't really have a preference, and
1 second.
And so everything came out Parker, like Harper had said. Everything was Parker. All the decision-making apps, the drawing out of the hat, everything went to Parker. And I told Allie, they finally brought the paperwork, and I said, okay, his name's going to be Parker. That's it. We're done. And as I'm about to stroke the pen on the paper, Allie says, nope, it wouldn't be right, because during the pregnancy I'd been calling him Lincoln just, to jab Allie a little bit, to get her riled up. And she's like, you've been calling him Lincoln the whole time since I've been pregnant, and it just wouldn't be right not to name him anything else. So that's how he became.
I said, and because that's not what you want. And then whoever the guy was that came with the paperwork, he looked at me like for me to say yes or no, and I said, I don't care anymore. I was ready to go home.
Lincoln, no, bud.
And so Ryan put his name as Lincoln Richard, and I still think he should have been a Parker. Kennedy has this devotional that we read at night, and the kid's name in it is Parker, and so there's just these random signs. I'm like, he should have been a Parker. But
his name Lincoln.
We have Lincoln.
And we love Lincoln.
And he's a little wild. But so he failed the newborn hearing, and so we had an ENT appointment follow-up that they had referred us to 2 weeks after Lincoln was born. So we went to that follow-up appointment, and during that appointment, he continued to fail his hearing test. And she would even, I could tell, I felt like she really wanted him to pass it. She would move it around, or she would try again, and he wasn't going to pass it. So she told us that he had failed his hearing test again, and at that point, I just lost it, which I had, a lot of hormones going on, and I was still postpartum. And so I was just bawling, crying, because I felt like that was it. He had Hurler, because that is a symptom of Hurler Syndrome, MPS 1. And so as we're leaving, I'm crying, and I'm trying to call and find the best ENT to take him to. And the next day, I was where I was supposed to be, just like I was the first time I got the call. I was with Ryan and Kennedy. We were in the car, and we were coming across the railroad tracks in our hometown, and our genetics counselor called, and I didn't answer. And if I remember correctly, it might have been like a panic thing, that when she called, I didn't want the news, or I just didn't know what to say, and so I just let it go to voicemail. And I could tell in the voicemail that it was not the news that we wanted. So I called her back, and she told us that Lincoln had MPS 1. We got home, we got Candy out of the car, and I just boo-hooed, bawled, crying. Ryan held me in the garage as I cried, and he just said, as always, he's always so strong, saying, don't worry about it, we're going to get through this. And I'm just bawling, crying, saying, I don't know how I'm going to leave Kennedy. I don't know how I can leave my 2-year-old baby girl that I just fought for her life. I've just spent, over half a year in the hospital with her, and we're still struggling. And how am I going to leave her to go and fight for my son? And Ryan just said, it'll work out. And so I had to dry it up, because, of course, Candy was waiting inside for us. And so I dried it up, and we just sort of went about normal in a way.
And you'd already you'd kind of got a little bit of taste of that, too, by whenever Lincoln was born, Kennedy got sick. My mom was at home watching Kennedy. And, yeah, you got a book out there, didn't you, bud? And, so Kennedy was sick, so Lincoln had just been born. I had to leave Allie and Lincoln at the hospital, and then go help my mom take Kennedy to the doctor. She had an ear infection and was just feeling terrible, and she wanted her daddy.
Like RSV.
She wanted her daddy.
Type symptoms. No, probably not.
And so Allie stayed with Lincoln, and so we took her to the doctor, found out she had a bad ear infection. And so when we brought Lincoln home, we had to stay quarantined to a different room. And so Allie wasn't even able to be around Kennedy, and I wasn't able to be around Lincoln. So we'd almost had a little bit of, unfortunately, a glimpse of what was going to come in the future. But we just...
Yeah, that was hard. A lot of mom guilt, because Candy was so excited to have a new baby and to have a brother, and she was not allowed to touch him. Her and Ryan stayed downstairs for the first 24 hours, and she wasn't around him at all. So that was hard that it started off like that right off the bat, and I've had a lot of guilt of that since, just because I've had to essentially choose Lincoln in a way, because Kennedy was older, and she understood what I was telling her. So if she was sick, I would always have to tell her, don't touch Lincoln, we have to keep him healthy, or how hard it is to keep a 2-year-old from touching their nose, and to get onto her for having her hands in her mouth. And it was just has been a really hard thing, and we are so blessed that she's so good, and she did extremely well.
What is it, babe?
When we found out that Lincoln was diagnosed, it was something, even during the pregnancy, and even after Lincoln was born, people kept asking us, do you know if he has MPS 1? Is Lincoln healthy? And so we had started getting a few more texts that day, and so finally I posted, and it's long, but I'm just going to read really quickly, and maybe we cut some out, I don't know, but I read about Kennedy. So this is the post I made when we found out that Lincoln had MPS 1. I think we found out on May 22nd, if I'm right, or maybe like May 14th. So I posted this on May 25th of 2017. It says, Lincoln is 3 weeks old today and he's doing great. He's a good baby that loves to eat and be held. Kennedy is in love, and she's holding him as I type. She's already learning to be a multitasker. She's holding Lincoln while she eats her breakfast and watches Paw Patrol. Kennedy had to learn patience quickly. The day we were discharged from the hospital with Lincoln, Kennedy was diagnosed with an ear infection and bronchitis. She was so excited to bring her brother home, but her and Daddy had to stay isolated from us for a couple of days. For the most part, it's been an easy and smooth adjustment. Sleep is slim, but we are soaking up every minute. I know so many are waiting on me to make a post, and I have been trying to find the words in time. My mind is racing, yet I am a zombie. Emotionally, it is much harder this time, but maybe that is because I'm still postpartum. I hope so, but I'm afraid it is because I'm not oblivious. I know. I know exactly what my sweet baby boy is going to endure. Not only do I know that Lincoln is what he is going to endure, but I have another child to care for this go around. I'm going to have to see Kennedy, tell her brother bye, and not understand why she can't see him. I'm going to have to find a routine and a normal for Kennedy. I'm not going to be there for Kennedy every single day like I've been there for the past 3 years. I'm so thankful for friends and family, and most of all, so thankful for an amazing husband and daddy
Lincoln.
to our children. I'm so thankful
Lincoln.
that Ryan was with me on Monday when we got the terrible call from our genetics team.
All right, we'll readjust while Lincoln gets a game.
I've been trying to come up with the words for a post, but I would rather spend the time with my babies and husband. So here's the text sent to our family when we learned some very devastating news on Monday. Our hearts are broken, but our faith will stand strong. Today is the day we have all been anxiously waiting for, and unfortunately it is one of the most devastating days of our lives. Lincoln is affected with MPS 1. We will be starting our trips to Cincinnati next week. We look to be moving in 2 months. Please give us time to process without flooding us with questions. We are like zombies right now and just need time to process our reality. We need your constant prayers and love. We will need your help in time to come, but right now we just need time. We love all of you. Mind you, we are still praying for a miracle and that his test results were somehow a fluke, but with the information we have at this time, we will start traveling to Cincinnati every week for Lincoln to receive enzyme replacement therapy. We find a donor and go inpatient. Until we find a donor and go inpatient. We are hoping to find a donor and go inpatient in approximately 8 weeks to start chemo and the bone marrow transplant process. I do know you have a lot of questions, and we do too. Life literally changes in a second. We have learned this. We have also learned that even though we are hurting, that God will carry us through, and this too shall pass. Please be in constant prayer with us, and that the testing was a fluke. We are praying that when Lincoln is retested for confirmation that he will be healed. Please pray Lincoln is healthy. We are continuing to pray for a miracle. We are praying for God to move this mountain. Life is going to be very busy as we prepare, but I will try my very best to post soon. We love all of you. We truly need your powerful prayers, just like you sent for Kennedy. We love you. So that was a really hard post, and it was something I didn't think I would have to make. Me and Ryan really trusted, and I had tagged the song Even If on here. Even if you don't move this mountain, and even if our hope is still in you. Lincoln would have been the first child in Tennessee to be diagnosed. They had passed MPS 1 on newborn screening, and it was going to take effect July of 2017. They were still running trials, so if there was enough blood sample left over from other newborn screening, they would have done it, and Lincoln didn't have enough blood left over, so he was diagnosed off of forms that were requested by our genetics team in Cincinnati. We, as the paper said, we started enzyme replacement therapy that next week, and on he's playing Operation Reach in the floor.
Operation Reach. He's just playing Operation.
Oh, Operation. But on June 13th, Lincoln had his port placed. So he was 3 weeks old, and he had a port placed. I guess he was a little over 3 weeks old.
Lincoln.
Take it out in the hallway. This is life with Lincoln.
Go.
You are correct, Allie.
He stopped, didn't he?
Huh?
Why are you crying?
And Dad, stop.
Why are you crying? Kennedy.
What's wrong, baby?
Dad.
Why? Huh? Cause why? You're just sad? That's okay. It's okay to be sad every once in a while.
Mom.
So I think, as you can tell, Kendi can't put into words why she's sad. It is a very devastating heart disease for all of our family. She's very young, but she's trying to cope and understand with what's going on, and to the age that, you know, maybe noticing some differences, and people asking questions, and of course we talk about it a lot. We're definitely honest and try to answer questions on her level and the best ability that we can. It's getting harder because she doesn't understand, you know, why she keeps having to go to the hospital, or why she keeps having to have these things done to her.
She also didn't understand, like, why, like, you got the makeover and all that.
Yeah. And she struggled with some anxiety while we were gone. While I was in Cincinnati with Lincoln, Kendi got a pretty severe stuttering problem, and it just shows the separation and the stress and everything that it had on her, because once we moved home, the stuttering issue resolved completely on its own. It was so good.
It wasn't even then. It was whenever she was able to come live with you in the apartment and just have that stability, instead of, because I would travel back and forth to Cincinnati for work every 3 to 4 days. So every 3 to 4 days I was in Cincinnati. Every 3 to 4 days I was back in Tennessee working. So Kennedy would travel back and forth with me because she couldn't be in the hospital with Lincoln. So but once she was able, Lincoln got out of the hospital into the apartment in Cincinnati, and Kendi was able to stay there. Just having that stability of staying in one place and not travel all the time away from the other one was pretty big too. So that's whenever it all, her stuttering problem resolved.
So Lincoln had his port placed at 3 weeks old. It's one of the best decisions we feel like we made during the process. Cincinnati even pushes back a little bit on it, that to do that on a child so young. And not everybody needs a port, but in our case, Lincoln was going to need enzyme replacement every week up until transplant. And we had been through that with Kennedy and knew how hard it was to get a stick every single week. So we had the port placed, and he has it still 2 years later, and they say he's the best patient ever. Every time he has his port access, they talk about how good he is and how he's better than the older patients and things like that. And so it was definitely a good decision. We were the first family to start enzyme replacement therapy, the Aldurazyme enzyme replacement therapy here in Tennessee. Cincinnati helped us get it set up at East Tennessee Children's Hospital in the clinic. And so we only had to go to Cincinnati 1 or 2 weeks, and then we started receiving enzyme replacement therapy in Knoxville. And that was nice because we got to stay together as a family, and Kendi would go with us sometimes. It's a long infusion. It's over really over a 6-hour day in clinic. So we tried not to bring her, but sometimes we had to. And it's where we also met at the end. We did meet the first baby, Ruby Kate, that was diagnosed in Tennessee. She was the first MPS patient to be diagnosed off Tennessee newborn screening. And theirs is a great story too. They are from Virginia, but since she was delivered in Tennessee, she had the newborn screening. MPS was not on newborn screening in Virginia. So it was really, there's so many God things and so many things to be thankful for always.
We probably should be writing a book of everything that we witnessed. Is so amazing.
I really wish we would have videoed more during the hospital because, like I've said over and over, I mean, my brain is just so. I have to go back and repost. It was just very traumatizing. It's like a PTSD type thing, and things are so bad you just forget them. You just erase them. And so before Lincoln was having his, not before, but during this, Lincoln was having his enzyme replacement therapy as we waited for a donor. They did have I call it a human donor. It's all human donor, but a cord blood or human donor. And when they went back into the system, that donor was gone. So they chose cord blood as Lincoln's best option.
You can go help him.
And we had our golf tournament that year. So we had our golf tournament in July, I think. And am I gonna help him?
No, I saw something on your phone. It said Ness came from Lincoln.
It's okay.
We had our golf tournament that year in July of 2017. And so Lincoln did get to come out and make an appearance, but he didn't stay because we really needed to keep him healthy for transplant. So we had our golf tournament, and then just a week or so later, we got the call that because Lincoln was having fevers, they wanted us to come to Cincinnati early. Lincoln had been in the ER here locally 3 to 4 times. And it seemed to be every time he had his enzyme replacement therapy, he was having a fever. So they just wanted to make sure he was healthy enough. So we were supposed to go inpatient, I think, on a Tuesday. And they wanted us to come
on a Tuesday
for him to be checked out on Monday. So our plans changed a little bit. We went up early and just had the weekend, wanted to have the weekend as a family. Just our last nights of freedom. And so we had a carriage ride on the horses, and we had a good meal.
We had went up because once Lincoln went into transplant, or started the process for transplant, the chemotherapy, he wouldn't have an immune system. So Kennedy was only 2 at the time. So one of us would have to be with one of the other kids, so they wouldn't be able to be together. So we wouldn't be a family for a while until Lincoln went through everything. So we went to go spend the weekend and spend one last weekend before Lincoln's transplant as a family and spend that time together, and because we knew there was going to be a lot of separation coming up. So that's why we went up early. And then
But just, I don't remember if it was a day or what, but just the day or a few days early made a big difference, especially for a procrastinator that's trying to pack and get everything together to leave my house with a baby for 6 months. I was moving to Cincinnati basically for 6 months, and that's how long I was gone with Kendi for 9, so I was preparing for 6 with Lincoln. And so we had a great night out that night, and we went in the next day, and it was really just a simple thing. They looked him over, and they were like, okay. And so I said, that's all you're going to do? And they're like, yeah, we're good to go. But they had already made us inpatient at that time. So you don't know unless you ask. And so I asked, can we leave? Can we have one last night out as a family? And they said yes. So stay tuned. See what we did on our last night of freedom. And stay tuned as always. I wanted to, while I'm on here, coming up is Rare Disease Day. That's February 29th of 2020. As we're filming this, we're in year 2020 right now. So February 29th is Rare Disease Day. If you'll wear purple, or you'll wear a Kennedy and Lincoln shirt, or you'll just tell somebody about Kennedy and Lincoln, it helps us raise awareness. And then in May 15th is MPS Awareness Day. Again, we ask that you wear a Kennedy and Lincoln shirt. I have on an old Kennedy shirt right now. This is sort of our logo. It has a KL in it now. So wear a shirt, wear purple. Kennedy has on a Kennedy and Lincoln shirt. Or just tell somebody about Kennedy and Lincoln. We do have a new shirt coming out, so watch in the next week or so. You'll be able to purchase a new Kennedy and Lincoln shirt. We love wearing our Kennedy and Lincoln shirts because you never know who you're going to see, who's going to ask about it, who might want one. And our mission is to find a cure. Our mission is to raise awareness. You never know who you'll meet, the next researcher or the next biotech company, or, you know, just whatever. So we really encourage you to help support us. Even when you share our videos, that is supporting us. When you subscribe, that is supporting us. So Ryan will put the links below. We ask that you follow and you subscribe, and also
do all the YouTube stuff. But either later tonight or the next day, we're going to be posting a poll on all of our social media. So on Twitter, it's the Ladd Family. Instagram, it's the Ladd Family. And also on Facebook, it'll be under Kennedy and Lincoln Ladd's Prayer Group, which you can also find as the Ladd Family. So we'll be posting a poll. We're going to pick 2 colors. Actually, it's 4 colors, but it's 2 colors for women and it's 2 colors for guys. So we're going to pick 1 shirt for guys, 1 shirt for women, and we want your all's opinion and comments, and let us know what you think. One thing I do want to do before we close it out, this is Miss Harper. She is Mama Harper, is what we call her, because she takes such good care of Lincoln and Kennedy. And when Maddie's not traveling with sports and doing everything she does, she comes down and takes care of them as well. But
you come up here so you can tell them bye.
But I wanted to, not yet, bud. But I wanted to give a chance. But I wanted to give a chance to see if there was anything that Harper remembers up to this point. So Harper, we went through Kennedy's transplant, and we went through Lincoln being born, and we're just now starting Lincoln's transplant. Was there anything that sticks out in your head that you remember through everything?
Oh my goodness! Well, I can remember going to the hospital and seeing Lincoln, but also how we came up with Parker was, well, how I know is because how my name's Harper and how Parker kind of goes with Harper.
That is true.
That.
So I kind of thought Parker would be a name for Lincoln. And so we did all that drawing, and Parker came in, and then Lincoln did it.
I do remember that.
That is how we come up with Parker. That is right.
Cracker Barrel. We were at Cracker Barrel.
And Harper come up with that too. She said Parker, and we were like, we like Parker.
Been Parker.
Lincoln, whenever you see this later on in life, bud, I'm sorry. I love your name. I'm sorry that everybody in this family doesn't, but Daddy loves you, okay? Daddy loves you and your name, so you're good to go with Daddy. Who cares what everybody else
Now,
thinks?
when I was a little bit older, I kind of recognized that it was President Lincoln and President Kennedy, and then I started telling all my friends at school
that you know President Kennedy. You know President. All right, guys. So look out for those polls for the shirts. Also, don't forget the links for episodes 1 through 6 below if you haven't and you're just now joining us. By the way, we want to welcome you if you're just now joining us. We're the Ladd family. We're crazy, but we're here, and we're here to spread awareness and raise funds for a cure. So.
Also, thank y'all for not subscribing. Well, thank you for doing that. But also, thanks for leaving them comments all down. And we try to respond to all of them. And, yeah. And I try to respond to them myself.
Harper helps us out with that as well. She's a big helper all the way around. So, like Harper said, subscribe. Hit the little thumbs up if you like the video. Hit the thumbs down if you don't, which we hope that you don't. But also hit the bell to be notified whenever we release a new video.
Come here, Lincoln. Come here.
And leave us comments. We love
Are you going to tell them bye?
constructive criticism, and we love you guys. So
we love seeing them comments a lot. They enjoy. We love reading them out to Lincoln and Kennedy.
Yeah, they love seeing the comments as well. You want to tell them bye?
Say.
You want to tell them bye,
Peace
Lincoln?
out.
Peace out. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Lincoln, come tell them bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Come up here, bud.
Peace out.
They can't
Come
see
here.
you right here. Come up here with Mama.
Love y'all.
Come stand right here.
He's saying bye, y'all.
Come stand right here. We're trying. Hang on.
He's not coming. Okay. And blow him a quick, you want to blow him a kiss and make a silly face? Say.
Oh,
Here's,
here's
Lincoln.
Say bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Oh, blow a
Bye,
kiss.
y'all.
Mwah. Make a silly face.
Bye.
Thank you guys again.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Mwah.
Thank you guys.